are now in the Black Box with Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang. Let's
go! Listen.
Gratitude is the attitude. Show is a blessing. To be back in the Black Box. Black Box.
Relax, roll up as we randomly react to content in these YouTube streets. Yeah. It's time for R&R.
Nightwood Net Hustle. Big shout out to my SPR, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the Black Box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
All that. Don't fall back. 7 C's, 3 G's, navigated with ease. Y'all seen the title. Oh, my mama. Let's get into it with no further ado. Let's see what the PBGs have been up to.
It happened on a quiet block in West LA. The girl's body was slumped in a car seat, face gone. No 911 call, no warning, just silence. They said she was 17. They said she was snitching, but who was she really? And how did one small gang take over an entire neighborhood just blocks from Beverly Hills? Let's start from the beginning, but stay locked in. This story doesn't end where you think. Before the headlines, before the blue flags, and before kids were getting shot off their bikes, there was Cadillac Corning. Back in the late 70s, this neighborhood in West Los Angeles was nothing flashy, just a tight grid of working-class apartment buildings tucked between La Cienega and Robertson, mostly black families, older Jewish folks, some Latino and Asian neighbors, the kind of spot where kids rode bikes, elders sat on porches, and folks kept to themselves. But by the early 1980s, that peace got interrupted. Crack cocaine was flooding LA, and Cadillac Corning became a target. Its location was perfect. Quiet streets, near white neighborhoods with cash, and just far enough from the South Central spotlight that cops didn't see it coming. Young crews started coming up. Breakdance groups turned into street cliques. One of those crews called themselves the Playboy Dancers. But they weren't just about the moves anymore. As money entered the game, so did turf politics. Crack turned kids into lookouts, friends into soldiers. By 1985, the name had changed. Playboy Gangster CRIPS. C Street, short for Corning.
Oh, boys from the east side. He was not from Playboy Gangster Crips. That's crazy. They just throw any picture up there. Free my load. East side.
Became their headquarters. Buyers from Beverlywood and Pico Robertson pulled up for dope. Rooftop lookouts used whistles and pagers. Kids on bikes moved product. If you were from the block, you knew not to ask questions. By '87, LAPD wasn't calling it a neighborhood anymore. They called it a war zone. Security bars went up, fences got doubled. A local gas station closed down after getting robbed too many times. One landlord said straight up, "I feel like I'm jailing my tenants to protect them from the kids outside." But it was just getting started, because once the Playboys tasted money and blood, they weren't letting go easy. The Playboy Gangster Crips officially stamped their name in 1979, but to really get it, you gotta understand the vibe back then. Cadillac Corning was shifting. The older Jewish families were moving out. Young black teens were finding family in places the system didn't offer. There were breakdance battles in alleyways, not shootouts. Crews like the Moonlighters, the Red Lights, and the Diamondbacks all did their thing. The Playboys were just another group trying to shine. But all that started to change when real money hit the scene. When crack flooded LA in the early 80s, it didn't just change the streets, it rewired the hustle.
All throughout this thing. I know that's something that's nationwide, but I just saw it happen out here. Yeah, crack threw everything off track, and it still ain't bounced back. Oh, my mama.
Suddenly, these kids weren't just dancing, they were trapping. C Street turned into a live wire open market, and the Playboys, they weren't just playing anymore. The gang evolved fast. They kept the bunny logo, ripped straight from Playboy magazine. Their look, blue rags, bunny tats, and all the confidence of a set that felt untouchable. Cops said they operated with urban guerrilla tactics. Lookouts posted up on rooftops. Bikers relayed messages. Pagers lit up at all hours. If a buyer pulled up in a Benz from over in Beverly Hills, he wasn't just buying crack. He was stepping into PBGC land. By 85, they had locked it down so hard that rival gangs couldn't even set foot on the block without catching heat. LAPD records said they had literally no competition. But with all that territory came more heat. Shootings started popping off, bodies started dropping, neighbors stopped walking their dogs. Even pizza guys stopped delivering. The cops knew they had a problem. But the Playboys, they didn't see it as one. They saw it as control. And the thing about control, you do anything to keep it, even if that means putting 4 bullets into a girl's face. We'll get to her story soon. But first, we need to talk about what happened when the city finally pushed back. By 1986, the Playboy gang
Is not from Playboy. As a matter of fact, y'all know the Draws Down video, my verse, I'm on that rooftop and all that. That's Cuz house. I shot that shit at Cuz house. Cuz like knew I was finna do it. Cuz had 2 like luxury whips too. He was like, you can use my cars too, Cuz, I ain't tripping. Then while I was at Cuz flat doing my shit, he got a call, he had to get east and left me at his sheet with the keys. Free my loc, east side. On my mama.
gangster CRIPS had Cadillac Corning on lock. Not just the streets, but the fear, the silence, the rhythm of daily life. They didn't have thousands of members like some South Central sets. LAPD estimated around 200 active Playboys at their peak. But what they lacked in numbers, they made up for in control. This wasn't about being loud, it was about being everywhere. Every alley, every parking lot, every lookout post on C Street was covered, and they weren't hiding it. Journalists who came through the block in the mid-'80s reported something that felt almost surreal. Teens with blue flags, bunny logos, whistling down rooftops, paging each other when strangers rolled in. Even in daylight, dealers posted up with no real fear. Buyers came in Benzes and BMWs from Pico, Beverlywood, even parts of Culver City. Most of them were white, middle-class customers who wouldn't dare set foot in South Central but felt comfortable driving 6 minutes into this pocket of West LA. But the peace, if you could call it that, was fake. Behind the open-air sails and coded whistles was a violent code. If you were from the outside and tried to move on their turf, you might not leave. If you bought crack and
Believe it or not, the majority of LA, Compton, Carson don't look as dangerous as it is. You'll be over there feeling comfortable not knowing, sheesh, it can go down any moment in the hundreds too. Houses, big houses, nice looking yards, well manicured, well kept. Death is very close. Oh, blah.
didn't pay up, they'd run you down. One 1986 case had a 16-year-old kid get shot by a lookout after a botched street dispute. The shooter stepped out of an apartment and fired just as the victim pulled off on a motorbike. The kid died in the street, and it wasn't just outsiders. Even within the ranks, the pressure to prove yourself was heavy. If you were a younger homie trying to earn stripes, you knew what time it was. Handle the work, hold your mouth, make it known you were solid. The community, meanwhile, was on edge. One longtime tenant told the Los Angeles Times he'd been mugged 3 times during the day. Another said his father had a gun pulled on him over a quarter. A landlord raised his backyard fence to 12 feet and wrapped it in razor wire. But even with police patrols and over 500 arrests in 1 year, nothing changed. The Playboys didn't move, they just tightened their grip. And that grip was about to snap into something even worse. Because in early 1985, a teenage girl, one who'd been caught in the wrong place, tied to the wrong case, was about to become the gang's next. February 28th.
Wrong place, tied it to the wrong case, shot in the face. Rest in peace.
1985. It was a Thursday night in West Los Angeles. Erica Johnson, a 17-year-old girl, was hanging out with 2 guys, Glenn Martell and Derek Baum. Nothing unusual at first. They'd posted up in a parked car, just 3 teens chilling on the block. Some say they invited her in to kick it, maybe smoke, talk. But less than an hour later,
They was trying to, you already know.
Erica was dead. She had been shot 4 times in the face. No warning, no struggle, no shouting, just sudden, close-range execution. The scene was cold. Both Martell and Bond dipped from the car like it was nothing. They didn't panic. They didn't hide the body. They just walked off, left her slumped in the seat with half her head gone. What happened next would crack open a tight silence that usually surrounds LA gang killings. But to understand why Erica was targeted, you have to rewind a bit.
Okay, I take that back. They wasn't trying to, they was trying to screw off. It seems it was intentional. I thought it was like wrong place, wrong time.
Earlier that same day, February 28th, Erica had been served a subpoena. Prosecutors had called her to testify in an assault case involving an alleged leader of the Playboy gangster CRIPS. She wasn't a gang member herself, but she knew people. She had seen things, and in that moment, she became a risk. Martell and Bond weren't even official Playboys at the time. According to court testimony, they were members of a smaller, lesser-known clique, but they were hungry to get in, and they knew exactly how to make an impression. Setting up a hit on someone tied to a case involving the Playboys, that was one way to fast-track your name, and that's exactly what they did. The LAPD picked them up the same night. That's when the story takes another wild turn, because these two, they didn't keep their mouths shut, not really. After their arrest, while sitting in the back of the squad car, Martell and Bond had a full-on conversation about the murder.
Okay, see, at least their intentions wasn't bunk. They was just naive and goofy, slipped up. They was young, talking, thinking they was not being recorded. That's crazy.
What they didn't know was that the police had hit record. That recording became the centerpiece of the trial. In it, the 2 teens discussed the shooting, casually. No panic, no remorse. The way they talked about it shocked even seasoned detectives. One officer said the way they laughed during the conversation was beyond cold. Another testified that they joked about what Erica looked like after getting shot. Prosecutors didn't need a confession. The tape did all the talking. The trial kicked off in the summer of 1986 and ran for 6 weeks. The courtroom wasn't packed with reporters every day, but the details that came out left a lasting mark on the city. Witnesses testified that both Martell and Bond showed zero emotion throughout the hearings. One courtroom observer told the LA Times, "I've been to this trial a few times. They come in like they're watching a comedy. It's like it's a game to them." Even the deputy district attorney on the case, who worked in the hardcore gang unit, said he had never seen defendants so casual about taking a life. "It's one thing not to care," he said, "but laughing about it, that's another level." During sentencing, the judge didn't mince words. Both were convicted and given 25 years to life. Now here's the thing. In official records, Erica was 17, but the streets, and later the headlines, kept repeating the same phrase. She was only 14. The number stuck.
Damn, I wonder if they out 25 to life in the 80s. They could potentially, possibly, probably been paroled.
Whether it came from initial confusion or whether people just repeated it because it hit harder, nobody knows for sure. And while the city moved on, the neighborhood didn't forget. People in Cadillac Corning already knew what the Playboys were about, but this was a different kind of message. They weren't just handling rival gangs or shooting over crack corners. They were killing girls, teenagers, witnesses, and it wasn't even about sending a warning. It was about proving something to the gang. The Playboys themselves didn't claim the killing directly, but the message was loud anyway. If you talk too much, if your name showed up on the wrong court dock, you could be next. From that point on, silence became currency. People stopped giving statements. Cases went cold. Even residents who had nothing to do with street life kept their heads down. And this was the moment city officials realized they had a problem they couldn't just arrest.
Dark skin holding that rag, look like my homie Big Ant, ECIP too. It's moving fast. It just look like I'm not saying that's him. But it remind me, I'm gonna pause it next time they show it and really look at it.
Their way out of. See, Erica's murder wasn't an isolated thing. It happened in a context of growing violence, growing fear, and growing boldness from the Playboys. Police already knew the gang was running open-air drug markets, shaking down neighbors, tagging every surface, and terrorizing their 6-block stretch like it was their private turf. But now there was real public outrage. News coverage brought attention not just to the murder, but to what was happening in West LA as a whole. Cadillac Corning was no longer just another ignored pocket of the city. It was front-page material. By late 1987, the city had had enough. The murder of Erica Johnson wasn't the only trigger, but it hit deep, and it pushed officials to try something new, something they'd never done before. City Attorney James Hahn introduced what would become the first gang injunction in the country. It wasn't about locking people up, not directly. It was about cutting off the gang's power without needing a fresh arrest. The idea: treat the Playboy gangster Crips like a public nuisance, like a bad landlord or an illegal business. Use civil court, not criminal, and ban them from doing everyday things in their own neighborhood. The draft injunction covered 26 blocks in West LA, mostly around Cadillac and Corning. It named 10 specific members, but the rules applied to the whole set. If you were a Playboy, you couldn't hang out in groups.
Nah, that ain't Big A.
Couldn't wear blue, couldn't flash gang signs, carry pagers, or be seen loitering in public, especially near spots like C Street. Some folks were on board. Residents were tired of ducking bullets just to get to their cars. One woman told the LA Times, "All I want is to walk my street at night without looking over my shoulder." But not everybody supported it. The ACLU and other critics called the injunction unconstitutional, said it violated basic rights, said it would give LAPD too much leeway to harass young Black and Latino men who weren't doing anything illegal. And at first, the judge agreed. Hahn's original version was thrown out for being too broad, but after trimming it down, the court signed off. The results were quick. Within weeks of the injunction taking effect, patrol officers said open-air drug sales vanished.
Never knew they had the first injunction over there, because after that, y'all, Southern California injunctions went everywhere.
Buyers stopped pulling up. Known gang hangouts went quiet. One cop said they weren't running from police, they were running from process servers. It didn't dismantle the gang, not even close, but it disrupted the rhythm. And the legacy, still visible: gated alleyways, locked fences, no parking signs on small side streets. Some of those gates are still up today in what's now called La Cienega Heights. The gang didn't disappear, they just adapted. But for a short time, the city managed to knock the air out of PBGC's chest without firing a single shot. Erica Johnson's murder got the headlines, but it wasn't the only life lost in Cadillac Corning during those years. Violence was routine. By 1987, LAPD had linked the Playboy gangster Crips to at least 6 homicides and 14 disappearances within a 2-year span. Some of these cases barely made the news. Others were so random, they left the community even more shaken. In August 1987, 2 14-year-old boys were killed in a drive-by ambush. One of them was a young Playboy Crip recruit riding his bike home from the store. The other, just a friend who happened to be with him. According to investigators, a rival set, possibly homeless, Crips from South LA rolled up and sprayed automatic fire. No warning.
I ain't never heard of the homeless Crips. Oh, my mama.
No chance, just straight retaliation over drug turf. The brother of one of the victims, Kenneth Sample, later told reporters, "It could have been me or you, or anybody walking down the street. Same bullet point." That was the kind of fear people lived with. There were other killings too. In late 1986, a 16-year-old boy with a personal beef against a Playboy Crip dealer was gunned down during a botched encounter. Witnesses said it was a setup. A lookout gave the signal, and another member stepped out from an apartment and fired just as the boy tried to drive away. And then there were the outsiders. Buyers from wealthier parts of the city would show up expecting to grab dope and bounce. Some got more than they bargained for. LAPD records show that several were robbed, beaten, or even killed after deals went sideways. In some cases, they were lured out of their cars and taken elsewhere to be dealt with. The Playboys weren't just violent with rivals, they were strategic. Their goal was to control the area completely. Anyone who crossed the line, even by accident, could become a target. By now, the gang had racked up enemies across West LA: the Venice Shoreline Crips, Gear Gang, the Mansfield Gangster Crips, even nearby blood sets like Fruittown Brims and Denver Lanes. Beefs weren't always loud, but when they popped off, they left bodies behind. And this cycle of retaliation, it wasn't slowing down. If anything, it was building towards something bigger, a killing that would spark headlines all over again. By the 2000s, a lot of people thought the Playboys had faded out. The injunctions, the arrests, the pressure, it worked, at least on the surface. Cadillac Corning was changing. The gang wasn't posted on corners like they used to be. Buyers weren't pulling up to C Street like it was a 24-hour market anymore. But the truth, the Playboys hadn't disappeared. They had just gone low-key. Then came May 3rd, 2010. That evening, 26-year-old Jani Collins was sitting in a parked car in South LA, not far from Crenshaw Boulevard. Her husband, Kevin Dwayne Green, a documented member of the Playboy Gangster Crips, had just stepped out of the vehicle. He wasn't gone long, but it was long enough. A car pulled up. Gunshots rang out. Janae, 8 months pregnant, was struck and killed in a drive-by shooting. Her unborn child didn't survive either. It was one of those moments that cut through the noise. Not just another gang shooting, not just another name on a list. This was a pregnant woman, an innocent, killed in front of her home. Investigators quickly identified the shooters as members of the Mansfield Gangster Crips, longtime rivals of the Playboys. Court records showed that Kevin Green had been the real target. The shooters had tried to catch him slipping but missed. The fallout was huge. LAPD linked the shooting to an escalating war between the two sets, but it also reached beyond the streets. One of the people caught up in the aftermath, NBA player Javaris Crittenton. Crittenton, a former first-round draft pick who had played for the Lakers and other teams, was later charged with assisting a getaway driver connected to the shooting. Reports said he helped fly one of the suspects out of town to avoid arrest. It was a surreal twist, an NBA baller tied to a deadly neighborhood beef. The case made national headlines, not just because of the celebrity angle, but because it showed something bigger. The Playboys were still active, still involved, still dangerous, and more importantly, it showed that even
Did he get told on, or did they just figure it out? That's up, man. The whole career.
after the gang had disappeared, the rivalries hadn't. Mansfield and PBGC had been circling each other for years, sometimes quiet, sometimes not. But Janae's death, that reignited the beef and reminded the public that the Playboys might have gone underground, but they hadn't gone soft. This wasn't about corner crack sales anymore. It was personal, strategic, targeted. And while the city no longer saw Cadillac Corning on the nightly news, the ghosts of those early days were still moving in the shadows. The streets didn't forget, and neither did the enemies. After the 2010 shooting of Jani Collins, the city once again turned its eyes to West LA. But by then, the neighborhood wasn't what it used to be. Cadillac Corning had already been renamed La Cienega Heights. The original black community that built the area had mostly moved out, pushed by rising rents, gang violence, and years of being boxed in by LAPD and gang injunctions. By the 2000s, the new residents were mostly Latino families, a few white transplants, and small pockets of older Jewish homeowners who had stuck around. To many outsiders, it looked like progress. The graffiti was fading. Developers were buying up old buildings. New housing popped up where gang-tagged walls used to stand. Local politicians and LAPD officials pointed to La Cienega Heights as a success story. One former city attorney even said, "We literally pushed the gang out of the neighborhood." But not everybody agreed. For the families who lived through the 80s and 90s, it didn't feel like healing. It felt like erasure. The gang injunctions may have dropped crime in the short term, but they also labeled dozens of young Black and Latino men as gang members without trial. Many of them had never been arrested for violence. Some just lived in the wrong place or knew the wrong people. Even decades later, some of those names still showed up in law enforcement databases. Job applications flagged them. Apartment screenings denied them. The stain never really washed off. Community activists and scholars began questioning the cost of this kind of crackdown. Was it about safety or just displacement? One UCLA researcher wrote that the gang injunction created a legal cage, trapping people inside a system even when the streets had changed. Others said the strategy fast-tracked gentrification. Cadillac Corning, once one of the most feared areas in LA, now had a Jewish seminary on the same block where kids once sold crack under bunny logos. The gang's physical presence faded, but their impact didn't. You can still see it in the fences, the locked alleys, the way people glance over their shoulders at night. And even though the Playboys stopped flying their flag openly, the culture they left behind, that's harder to bury. By the mid-2010s, the original Playboy gangster CRIPS set in West LA wasn't making headlines anymore. The name wasn't tagged across Corning Street the way it once was. Cops weren't flooding the block like they did in '87. But strangely enough, Playboy gangster CRIPS started showing up in new places, far from California. In 2017, federal agents in Detroit launched a major takedown of a local gang calling itself the Playboy Gangster CRIPS. 14 members were arrested in connection with a long list of charges: armed robbery, drug distribution, carjackings, murder. The ATF said the crew ran operations out of a gas station on 7 Mile and Braille. They had street names like Havoc, Shady Blue, and Trouble. The bus was part of a larger federal crackdown, but what stood out was the name. Authorities made it clear this Detroit set wasn't directly linked to the original West LA Playboys. It was more of a borrowed identity, a name with street weight, something that carried a reputation, even
How the authorities feel like they're authority on that information? How they know that? They don't know who. Oh, my mama.
across state lines. And Detroit wasn't the only place. Smaller sets with the Playboy name had popped up in Oakland, parts of New Jersey, and even Arkansas. Some were black-led crews. Others were more mixed or even predominantly Latino. But all of them seemed drawn to the original LA gang's image. The blue, the bunny logo, the rep for being ruthless despite the small size. It showed something deeper. In the digital age, gang identities move like brands. And the Playboys, once a 6-block crew in West LA, had become a kind of myth. But back in La Cienega Heights, the OGs were either gone, locked up, or had aged out. Some tried to steer the next generation differently. Others faded into quiet lives, never speaking on the past. The newer residents barely knew the name. The graffiti was painted over. The stories, still there, but scattered. Which brings us to a bigger question. What's left behind when a gang like the Playboys fades from public view? Some say the city won, that the gang injunction, the arrests, and the pressure finally broke their hold on the block. Crime went down, streets got safer, property values went up. In some ways, it's true. Cadillac Corning is no longer feared like it was in the late 80s, but others point to what it cost to get there. The 1987 injunction, the first of its kind, became a national model. Dozens of cities copied it, and while it worked short term, it also marked thousands of young men as gang affiliates for life. Some had committed real crimes, others were just caught in the neighborhood web. The courts never fully cleaned up the long-term consequences. There's also the human toll. Erica Johnson never got to testify, never got justice beyond 2 convictions. Her face never showed up on murals or t-shirts, just a name, barely remembered outside those who knew the story. Then there's the silence. Many of the people who lived through PBGC's peak either moved out or learned not to speak on it. trauma doesn't always get closure. It just gets quieter. Today, if you drive through La Cienega Heights, you won't see bunny logos or CRIP tags, but the fences are still high, the alleys still gated, the echoes are still there, and the question remains, was this story about a gang or was it about a city trying to bury what it helped create? Because once upon a time, a girl got in a car with two boys she knew, and that night, West LA changed forever. In the end, the story of the Playboy gangster Crips isn't just about one gang or one neighborhood. It's about what happens when a city loses control and then tries to take it back by any means necessary. It's about silence, survival, and scars that don't make the news. Erica Johnson's name faded from headlines, but what happened to her and what she symbolized never really left. The streets remember, even when the paint gets scrubbed off the walls. Cadillac Corning doesn't look the same now, but ask the right people and they'll tell you, back then, it wasn't just dangerous. It was a place where even kids weren't off limits, a place where nobody felt safe, not even for a second.
Play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, nigga? Active, don't play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, nigga? It ain't no I in the word team, we got us. It ain't too much, but I promise it's gonna be enough. Knock 'em down like duck hunt. Niggas know what time we on, or you a fly ass nigga? Well, it's the no fly zone. I used to care about that bitch until she did me wrong. Ain't had a nigga like me, bitch. I was your backbone. A gang of bitches in my contacts, I'm back on. Mafia alone, Mafia strong. I put the max on, we still steppin'. Mafia loyal to all the troops, and we still reppin'. Nigga, blame it on my roots, no question. So if you need me, I'ma pull through. And if I had to call the game, the niggas pulling up too. Riders like Infant G and Tiny MD. Big Dub, Tiny Dub, and can't forget Big G. Baby G, Big Slim, always chunkin', Big M's. Lil Mac down my bro, can't forget about him. Active, don't play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, nigga? Active, don't play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, I'm a man of my word, ain't going back and forth with none of you nerds. Been on them blocks, hanging out on them curbs. This shit ain't new to me. Bang like Shaq in the paint. What they gonna do with me? These niggas try their hardest to rap. I do this shit with ease, raised by G's, like Rooster and Uncle Freeze. I was like 15, shooting dice on my knees off the porch. Hanging with bangers, fuck playing sports. But shit, we full court pressing, get them off the court. Stand up nigga, squabble and I blam triggers. Gotta prove shit to none of you niggas on my soul. I'm hands on. The homies whipped him, he was in the wrong. Shoot at us, we shoot back, I call that ping pong. Mafia strong, I can't tell you when this shit gon' end. But for the moment in time being, I'm all in, shoot 10. The homies know I'm down to hang with him, bang with him, and ain't gon' change. I'm that same nigga. Active, don't play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, nigga? Active, don't play no games, we get cracking. We ball, we be shooting and passing, nigga. We stand tall like what's happening, nigga. We don't never do no lacking, nigga. What's happening, nigga? Yeah, that, we active, nigga. Free Tiny Max, yeah, that. Double M gang. A to the A to the A. Yeah, that.
Snake Wood Net Hustle. Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
It's the homie Cook-Up Boss, goddammit, Cub Low. And y'all tuning in to the Wake and Bake Show with goddammit the homeboy Spider Low.
It was SPR, the realest nigga in LA.
Spider this bitch!
Spider Low, nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
So Spider looks at me because we go back to the juvenile side of the county.
Spider Low. Spider Low.
Shout out to SPR, that motherfucking nigga.
Spider Low, Wake and Bake. Better keep it Google, nigga.
Loke is in LA somewhere doing what he's doing.
In the words of Spider Loke on my mama's mama.
Spider Loke's gear. This is Bay Mac.
Nate Bud, C-Mac. Shout out my Loke, Spider Loke, huh? Nate Bud, on Hood. It's a beautiful world. You fight me? Fight, crib.
Point blank, through no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A east side millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be, yeah.
You are now in the black box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang.
Let's go!
Before you bounce about the black box, that video right there on your screen, yeah, that's the one. According to YouTube, click that for the low. Oh, my mama. Jeter.